microphone free. I'm just gonna yell at y'all via the camera, whatever thingy, the phone, microphone. There we go, brain. Give it just a couple seconds for YouTube to kick in and do its thing. Let me know that y'all can hear me. We should be, like I said, perfectly fine. And then we're gonna jump into a little bit of everything. And as I often say, this will be a shorter one, but it will be because I forgot to tinkle before we started and I already have to potty. So this will be a quicker one, but we are going to discuss something that I think is very, very important. Over the last 48 hours, we have talked about Jeffrey Epstein, obviously, and we're going to do just a hint more of Jeffrey Epstein talk before we move into other stuff, but only because of President Trump. Now, listen, over the last 48 hours, all the talk we've had has been about, do we, as a group of people who appreciate the president that we have, because look at what we could have had if it wasn't President Trump. It would have been Kamala Harris and Tim Walz just burning this place to the ground. We are appreciative of Donald Trump. We are appreciative of what he has done in just the 6 months he has been in an office, right? But the last 48 hours, there have been a lot of flip-floppers when it comes to President Trump and the Jeffrey Epstein memo that I still don't think is real, that was leaked to Axios, a far left-leaning publication, supposedly by the FBI and the DOJ, even though there's no signature, no timestamp, nothing adds up, whatever. And nobody had spoken about it for the longest. And then yesterday, after the live stream, I told you guys that there was going to be a cabinet meeting with President Trump and everybody and their mama, basically, and that did happen. And during this cabinet meeting, I don't know how to feel about this. I reposted this on X, and it's a clip from the cabinet meeting where one of the reporters asked Pam Bondi about Epstein. Sorry, my nose itches like crazy. The pollen here is ridiculous today. Asked Pam Bondi about Epstein, and before Pam could say a single word, President Trump jumped in. You probably have already seen this, but I'm going to play it for you because I was not expecting and I'm saying this in the nicest way humanly possible, the defensive, gaslighting tone and words that came out of our president's mouth. I am not saying, please understand this, I'm not saying, oh no, President Trump, we don't like him, we're switching our thoughts and whatever else. But I was not happy with his tone and whatever else. I see somebody says, get over Jeffrey Epstein. How about you fuck off? Because here's the thing. The problem here is people want everybody to quit talking about Jeffrey Epstein, but that is the whole point. They want us to quit talking about it, and all of the kids that were trafficked and raped and all these things that they told us to have videos of, and nobody is being charged. Nobody's being dragged to jail. Nobody's being incriminated. So get over Jeffrey Epstein. You should probably get over yourself, whoever made that comment, because it's very important. Imagine if it was your child that had been raped or trafficked. The only people I think that want people to quit talking about Jeffrey Epstein and get over it are people that have something to hide about it. So there's that. And when I say that and then I play this, I just need you to know I am not a fan of how President Trump responded to this question. And it gives me a hint of pause in the whole situation. Now, I'm not saying hint of pause in a positive or negative way. I'm saying that maybe this leaked memo, which I still don't think is a real memo, was something that was put out to detract from it. Because a lot of people are saying, well, you can't go after people if they know you're going after them, so they have to pretend it's closed. Well, no, you don't have to say anything. They shouldn't have said anything. If they're trying to get cases against people, there's no need to say a single word. You just keep doing your thing, and then you start going after people. You don't need to put out a fake memo or whatever else. And then again, I'm gonna play this for you because I did not like the tone and the facial expressions that went with it and everything else. It bothered me immensely, and I'm gonna play it for you so you guys can hear it. I'm not gonna play the whole thing because it is like 2 minutes and 29 seconds long, but all you need is the intro. All you need is the beginning to understand why a lot of people, whether you like President Trump or not, a lot of people were taken aback, like, oh, like that's not the response, the tone, the anything that we expected. So let's just real quick here, if it'll play. Come on, fat fingers, do it.
Jeffrey Epstein, it left some lingering mysteries. One of the biggest ones is whether he ever worked
Can y'all hear?
for a American or foreign intelligence agency. The former Labor Secretary, who was Miami U.S. Attorney Alex Costa, he allegedly said that he did work for an intelligence agency. So could you resolve whether or not he did? And also, could you say why there was a minute missing from the jailhouse tape on the night?
Yeah, sure. If
Could I just interrupt for 1 second? Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. You're asking, we have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep? That is unbelievable. Do you want to waste the time and do you feel like answering?
I don't mind you.
Okay, so here's the thing. It bothered me because for two reasons. When he said, why are we still talking about this? That made me think, okay, so you have to be in my brain for this, but that made me think that that memo wasn't real. If he's going, why are you talking about this? That makes it seem like he did not know there's some leaked memo about a Jeffrey Epstein client list not being real. I find that extremely hard to believe. So that was like, okay, well, maybe he didn't know, and that's proof that the memo isn't real, and that's why nobody's talked about it. DOJ, the FBI, Bondi herself, Patel, Bongino, none of them, the president, none of them have talked about it, right? When Caroline Leavitt mentioned it, all she said was that, yeah, there was a memo that was put out. She did not specify, and it looked like she was even blindsided by it when she was asked about it by Peter Doocy. I think if he hadn't asked that question at the end of it about the 1 minute missing from the jail cell tapes, I think it would have had a completely different reaction from President Trump. And I know Tina says, I think he was saying it's not a priority right now, but it is something that's very important right now, seeing as how just the day or two before, in theory, the FBI and the Department of Justice completely shut it all down and said, never mind, nothing to see here, keep on moving, no client list, we're done with this, it's case closed. And you have everybody else going, wait, who's lying here, who's doing what, like what is going on? So when President Trump jumped in, before Pam Bondi could answer, immediately a lot of people are like, that's suspicious. Number one, why are you jumping in? Number two, why the tone? Are you still talking about this creep? This is blah, blah, blah. Yes, he's a creep, but it is still an important conversation, because one of the things that President Trump ran on was full transparency with the the JFK files, with the Fauci, which we still haven't heard anything about Fauci, with Epstein, all of it. And so the leaked memo, and then him with that tone, it's rubbing a lot of people the wrong way. And I was curious how everybody else thought about it, because I didn't expect that level of anger on that topic from him. I can understand that he wanted to talk more about Texas and the floods and everything that's going on there. That's understandable. Over 100 people have lost their lives, numerous of them being children, right? But it's still, when you have a room full of reporters and you've just, in theory, the FBI and DOJ closed a case that they've been talking about forever and a day. You've got this woman in jail for trafficking, and now you're saying that there's no clients. Then why is she in jail for trafficking? You say you have thousands of hours of tapes of rapes and all this other stuff, and now you're saying that there's no clients. That means that they weren't going to anybody. None of it adds up. And so I think that President Trump's jumping in front of Pam Bondi speaking, again, rubbed people the wrong way, right? And I can understand why. That's all I want to mention to you guys about that, because I thought it was interesting. And then you have Megyn Kelly here. Megyn Kelly, hers is like a minute long, so we're not going to play hers. But Megyn Kelly had to say, either Pam Bondi knew she was about to embarrass some of Trump's most loyal surrogates out there and did that willingly, or she didn't take the time to make sure what was in those binders. And then Megyn Kelly says, I'm going to predict her days are numbered, because in the beginning, Bondi was the one who said she had all of this stuff on her desk to go through. It's all sitting on her desk. Yes, there's a client list. Yes, there's all these videos. Yes, there's all this other stuff. And now suddenly there's nothing. It's a lot, right? It's definitely a lot. So that's all we're going to do with that right this second. Because, well, okay, maybe one more, because I reposted this as well. This was Tucker Carlson, which a lot of people are 50-50 on Tucker Carlson these days, right? But Tucker Carlson says what everyone's thinking about the Epstein cover-up, and I have some of the same questions. He said, how can you say that thousands of children were raped, but I'm not going to find out who did it? How can you say that? And that's basically what Bondi and Bongino and Patel are saying. When Pam Bondi went on television and said, I have a videotape of kids getting abused, I didn't know that. Really? Thousands of children got raped. Who raped them? Where are the rapists? Like, why aren't they in jail? This is the Department of Justice. This is so crazy. This is honestly one of the craziest things I've ever seen in my entire life. And I just think it's very dangerous to play around with this stuff. Very dangerous. I don't want a revolution, but if you wanted a revolution, this is how you would act. This is what Tucker Carlson had to say. The problem here is a lot of people feel like with the president trying to shut it down, and Bondi and Patel and Bongino, in theory, because I still don't think the memo is real, trying to shut it down, it gives people the ick, is the word we're going to go with here, because it makes it feel like these children who they said they had proof of being abused don't matter, and that it's not a big deal and things like that. And it's putting the actual client list, with, you know, the clients, the men and possibly women who are part of this, it's putting their well-being ahead of the well-being of the children. It is what it comes down to. You have to look at it though from the outside, which is very hard to do when it comes to people doing horrific things to children, right? You step back and you look at the whole situation and you say, you have to realize how many big names are probably in this thing. It's its own demonic playground, right? And you have to understand there's going to be a lot of really big names in there. And like Benny Johnson and everybody says, we want the client list. We want all of it out. You said full transparency. I do not want to see the entire client list. I personally do not want to see every single name dragged out into the light, because you know what will happen if that does occur? This world will crumble immediately, because you have to realize how many big names are on this, whether it's world leaders, whether it's corporation owners, whether it's rock stars or other celebrities, or you know, football, whatever, teachers, your parent, your granddad. Like, this list could have all these kinds of people on it. And if everything were to come out at one time, systematic destruction, because you can't take down every single person at once, because I feel like it will leave nobody behind to keep things running. That's my thought on it. I want the people that are on that list to pay the price, but I feel like it needs to be, my personal opinion, at a time, not a whole list thrown out to the world at once. That's how I look at this. Only because, think about it this way. What if the client list isn't real? What if the names on that list aren't the actual clients, right? What if they let this list go and it's a fake, and it hasn't been thoroughly investigated the way it needs to be, and it's got names on there of people who had nothing to do with anything, and now you've lost your vice president, now you've lost your senator in your state, now you've lost your whatever. That's where I think about these kind of things. I try to think of them from different areas of why possibly would the president, current, previous, Trump, then, all of them have kept this hidden for so long, if it wasn't something that, if they let the entire list out at once, would not crumble the world, right? Like, that's how I feel about it. I feel like every single person needs to be held accountable and should be in jail or castrated, or whatever else. But I feel like the reason it hasn't been, they're never going to be fully transparent with us, no matter what they say. It doesn't matter who runs on full transparency. It will never happen. It's impossible, because if they pull the veil back, the entire world would lose its ever-loving mind if they pulled everything back, right? All of this is, people are going to say it's all a game. I mean, it is. As they say, two feathers of the same bird, or however, two wings of the same bird. I do this wrong every single time, but that is what it comes down to. And this isn't something that can be taken lightly. And because I don't believe that memo is real, I don't believe that the whole thing is closed, and I don't think that there is no list. I think that was a bullshit memo that Axios had from either somebody of themselves or whatever else. It's not real. And I think it's still ongoing, which could be why President Trump is tired of it being talked about, because maybe he feels it's undermining what they're trying to do with getting the client list or whatever else. That's, again, it's a complete clusterfuck is the entire thing, but that's how I feel about that. And that's my personal opinion. Not everybody's going to agree with it, and that's perfectly okay. Again, I say all the time, if we all agreed on everything, it'd be really boring and whatever else. But we all do agree that the people that are responsible for hurting children should be held accountable 100%, no matter what. A lot of people are saying that President Trump can't let it go because a lot of it has to do with Israel and all this other stuff. I have no clue. I have no clue on that, so I can't even speak on that, but I'm sure Candace Owens will, because she really hates Israel. So I'm sure that she will speak on it at some point about some sort of connection that she assumes is there. I'll let Candace Owens handle that one. Benny Johnson said, we care about Epstein because we care if our government is protecting an elite pedophile cult, which obviously they are, and they have been for the longest time, because a lot of them are in the government. He said, that's it. That's why we care. The government should be thrilled to prove they're not protecting predators by releasing all Epstein evidence and prosecuting. No evidence is ever fully released. Even, I mean, O.J. Simpson, all his stuff. No, we didn't see all the evidence on it. Diddy, we didn't see all the evidence on it. We still haven't seen everything on JFK. We still haven't seen all the evidence against Fauci, because they're still giving the shots to people. We will never see all the evidence of anything ever, ever, ever. Even the people who are prosecuting and defending probably don't see all of it, because there's people who need to keep stuff covered up for the sake of politics. It will always come down to politics, right? So anyway, that's that. I'm going to move away from Epstein for now, because I want to read to you this post from Elizabeth Warren. Y'all know how much I love Elizabeth Warren and her dumbass. She posted, the Supreme Court just gave Donald Trump the green light to fire thousands of federal workers. Those are Social Security workers who help seniors get their checks on time, public health workers who keep us safe, and more. Trump wants to make it harder for people to get help. Do you think Elizabeth Warren remembers when her president, Joe Biden, made it so that if you didn't get a jab of stuff jammed into your body that you had no clue what it was going to do, where it came from, because it just happened to be made up overnight, that if you didn't get that, you were going to lose your job, whether you were a federal worker or not, whether you were somebody who helped seniors get their checks on time, or whether you were somebody who was a public health worker that kept us safe? Remember all the nurses and doctors that got fired? Remember all of the airline pilots and flight attendants that got fired because they wouldn't take a jab? But now Elizabeth Warren is mad because President Trump wants to downsize the federal government, but when it was her president that was downsizing everybody for the dumbest fucking reason possible, she was okay with it? Okay. Again, rules for thee, but not for me is what it comes down to. So Elizabeth Warren can kiss my entire ass. I am a huge non-fan of hers. Out of everybody that is out there, I would say she is my least liked person besides Kamala Harris. But she's just a moron. But Elizabeth Warren is retarded, like 100%, and she knows it, and yet still continues to post. Chuck Schumer, her, Bernie Sanders, AOC, heaven forbid that woman ever gets on a presidential ballot. That's how you'll know the world is over, when they put AOC's dumbass on a presidential ballot. But Elizabeth Warren is an effing moron, and that's that. The other thing I would like to mention to you is, let's see. There's a lot going on in the last 48 hours. Breaking, Biden's doctor, Kevin O'Connor, pleads the fifth and refuses to testify in a closed-door House hearing on the massive cover-up of Biden's health. Now, I know that there's HIPAA and you can't say certain things, but at that point, when your physician declines to cooperate in a GOP probe of former president's mental fitness, that says a lot as well. Because, once again, we've talked about it, they kept saying he was fine, although we knew he wasn't. Then there's the auto pin, whatever. There's all the days he spent at the beach versus inside the White House. Then suddenly he has stage 4 prostate cancer, all this other stuff, yet he's gallivanting around the country. Nothing adds up. Nothing makes sense. Anyway, the fact that he won't, that he pleads the fifth and refuses to testify is because he's trying to keep his ass covered, because he knows that as a doctor, he technically broke the oath. Isn't the first oath like do no harm? And lying to the world about the man who runs the country, his health, is doing a lot of effing harm, right? Yeah. So let's see, where's the other one? I'm not going to read any more stuff about Trump and all these people that are like talking crap about him and the Epstein stuff. And then Tucker Carlson, we already did that. Oh yeah, Benny Johnson. Oh, I guess this is still Trump related, but it's funny. Not funny, interesting. Fascinating that the same Department of Justice that could lock up every grandma who even looked at the U.S. Capitol on January 6th is completely helpless when asked to find the billionaire politician clients of the world's most famous pedo when they're all on video and flight logs. So there's that. And then, but wait, there's more off topic, but y'all know how we had the Texas floods, which a lot of people are saying are due to the cloud seeding, and there's a ton of stuff on YouTube and the internet about that right now. There's now a flash flood emergency in Chicago because they're saying there's 5+ inches of rain in 90 minutes. And my brain's going, 5 inches of rain is not that much. That's like here, guys, right? 5 inches to some people it's a lot. To some people it's normal. To some people it's very little. It just depends on how you want to look at 5 inches. 5 inches of rain here doesn't seem like that much to me, only because the way our roads are paved here where I live, they don't drain very well. So I've stepped in more than 5 inches of water numerous times, but I'm guessing that in 90 minutes is the considerable part. So now they were talking about evacuating parts of Chicago because they're worried about the flood, because you have the river there and all the water around it, which I can't think of what lake is that? Brain, do your job, not working. It's fine. I've been there. I walked it. I've seen it. I know it's there. Can't think of the name of it. So now they're worried about flooding in Chicago. There's been flooding in New Mexico. There's been flooding in Arizona, flooding in Oklahoma, flooding in Texas. And all of these places, as far as I know, are places that allow weather modification or cloud seeding, or however you want to call it, and allow all that kind of stuff. So that's just putting that out there. A lot of people are saying it's all the same. It just got really loud. They're like doing construction over here now. Can y'all hear that? If you can, I apologize, because I didn't expect it to get really loud in what it's doing. Now the other thing, so here's the thing. This is the rain in Chicago. You guys can kind of see there the orange and the red and the yellow. That's why they are Lake Michigan. I thought it was Michigan, but I wanted to make sure. Thank you very much. They are saying that is cause for concern in the Chicago area. So everybody in that area, be aware of what's going on there. And then, oh, where's the other one? No, this is still Epstein related. It's very loud out there. No, we're not doing that. Okay, so the last thing that I'll do here, because like I said, it's going to be a shorter one, because I really do have to pee. What is this? This is just something that somebody posted that I had a lot of thoughts on that is not at all related to anything under the sun. But this person said, I think we were meant to live slower than this, to grow tomatoes, to take afternoons walks, to cry without apologizing for it, to be bad at things and still do them. We weren't designed for constant achievement. We were meant for moments, small, soft, nothing special moments that somehow mean everything. And it just made me think of the fact that, like, we have become, and I am part of the problem, I'm fully aware of it because I have a YouTube channel, we have become so engrossed in drama that we don't take the time to just enjoy the fact that we live, right? I keep seeing these videos of how the Amish people basically rebuilt North Carolina, the Asheville area and surrounding area after Hurricane Helene. How they basically rebuilt it by hand, and there's videos of hundreds of Amish men, not the women, but Amish men carrying a built house down the road, carrying this down the road, building an entire house in 24 hours, working together. And it makes me, like, I guess envy is not the right word. You're supposed to have jealousy, envy, whatever, but I'm envious some days of that lifestyle, because we have gotten so, the farther we progress, which is why the word progressive, I absolutely hate it. The farther we progress in life, the farther we get from living a happy, peaceful life. That's what it feels like. Hey, babe, you're in here. He said covet. My husband's in here. I didn't know he was in here. But that's kind of where I was driving here, and I was thinking about it, how the farther we go with technology, the harder it is to know what's real or not. The farther we go with healthcare, the sicker people seem to get. The farther we go with mass food production, the sicker people seem to get. The newer houses that are being built, my husband and I were watching a video earlier, they're being slapped together. They don't have the same integrity and structural whatever as they did, you know, even 30, 40 years ago. But if you were to go to an Amish community, I bet everything there is pristine. It's one of those things where you don't realize that you are oh, how do I want to phrase that? Your life, you may think your life is great, and your life may be great, but it could be greater, right? If it wasn't based on the haves. Like, everybody wants to have all these things and have the stuff and whatever, versus when it was all about growing your own food, building your own house, taking care of your own kids, educating yourselves, all that stuff, right? I don't know. I've never been that person, so it's weird for me to be nostalgic over something I was never a part of. I don't know if that, hopefully that makes sense. Babe, I want to have a cold beer. No, you don't, because you quit drinking beer, so haha. It's just, you feel this nostalgia for a time frame that you never lived in, as we watch the things happen in our current time, and go, how did we get here? It makes you nostalgic for what used to be, right? Anyway, I know that's the most random thing ever, but I was thinking about it for like the last like day or two, because I remember being a kid before I knew anything going on in the world, and I was just a girl who got to ride her bike around the neighborhood, and when the street lights came on, I went home, and you know, I sat around the table with my nana, and I helped her cut vegetables for vegetable soup, and then we would go walk at the church and play basketball and do whatever else. It wasn't being focused on all of the negative things that bring the drama. It was just living your life and having conversations and being physical, like the walking and the biking and the other stuff, and doing family things together. And those are the things that I guess technically I'm nostalgic for, because I had those, but I do those with my husband and daughter and stuff like that. But it's just, I don't fucking know. It's just one of those random things that pops into my brain every once in a while, and I don't really know how to discuss it, except for I think a lot of y'all understand exactly what I'm saying and what I'm feeling when I don't know how to really say it, right? Anyway, I love y'all. I know it's random live stream, they generally all are, but I really have to pee, so we're gonna go now so I can do that and then go to the gym. So y'all have a fabulous rest of whatever is going on with your day, and I will see you again maybe later on this afternoon, definitely tomorrow, but hopefully this afternoon as well. I love y'all immensely. See you later. Babe, love you too. I see you in there. Okay, bye guys.